Hello again, Gills fans, England fans, football fans, World Cup fans. The big tournament is less than 24 hours away now. So in the next part of our World Cup series here on Gills in the Blood TV, I am looking at a few selections who I think could potentially be top scorer at the tournament, and also players to watch who could have breakout tournaments, who could fulfil potential, who could slip in under the radar and have a big say over the next sort of month. So that is the plan. We'll start with my thoughts on the top scorer. Been doing my research. 442 World Cup guide. Excellent read as always from the guys at 442. These are coming up on the screen now. My picks for top scorer, starting with a couple who I really fancy to do well, one dark horse and one outsider. My first pick for top scorer selection is France and Atletico Madrid striker Antoine Griezmann. Maybe not Atletico striker for much longer if you believe the recent interview that he's done saying he has decided his future. It may lay away from Atletico, but if France are to go deep into the tournament, I think Griezmann will play a massive part. Generally 10s to 14 to 1. These are looking on odds checker. Which I think is favourable odds, considering he plays in probably one of the better squads at the tournament. Favourable group, was decent at the last European Championships as France got all the way to the final before losing out to Portugal. Decent enough season again for Atletico, around 30 goals. They won the Europa League. I think he's a decent bet at 10 to 14 to 1. And they got a very favourable draw in terms of their group, which includes Australia, Peru and Denmark. My next pick, as you saw on screen, is one of our own, Harry Kane of England. Around 14s to 16s on odds checker. If you shop around, you can get some decent value. I think a few were saying 17 or 18 to 1, but I think that might start going depending on how he starts. Harry Kane I think's got a great chance. 12 in 23 I think for England, so a decent enough record in what is a fledgling international career so far. This time last year I think he was upsetting Scotland with a late equaliser at Hampden Park, and I just think if he starts well in a group that contains Tunisia, Panama and Belgium, he could take some reeling in if he ends up with a few inside the group stage. Generally I think you have to play 6 games to be top scorer, so that would mean England get into the semi-finals. But I just think if he has a good start and we hit the ground running, he's a decent bet at around 14 to 16 to 1. So that's my second bet, Harry Kane, over 130 goals in the last 4 seasons at club level. My dark horse is Luis Suarez. Group A for him and his Uruguay teammates. Probably the weakest group in the whole of the World Cup, to be honest. Just finding it here in the 442 guide. He's in a group that contains Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Russia. A very poor host nation for me, Russia. The side looks bang average at best. Will Luis Suarez want to right the wrongs of 2014 when he was banned for biting Italy centre-half Giorgio Chiellini? He's my dark horse. Again, similar to Kane and Griezmann, decent draw in terms of the group stage, so he could be well set before his side get into the knockout stage. And at around 20 to 25 to 1, I think he's a really good bet as an outsider or a dark horse, not a rank outsider. I've got one at a bigger price, and I will get onto him now. Same group, Group A, plays for Egypt. Their best player by a mile, was superb at Liverpool last season, and the reason I've put him as an outsider is because chances are he's going to miss his country's first game against Saudi Arabia. But he still have fixtures against, not Saudi Arabia, sorry, that's completely wrong. First game is against Uruguay, the toughest one. But I just think if Mo Salah gets going, he could be decent money at 50 to 1 to 100 to 1. You can find 100 to 1 if you shop around, which is mad considering the season he had domestically. Granted, Egypt are not on anywhere near the same level as Liverpool. But yeah, if he can prove his fitness, decent bet for me. Decent bet at outside value. So that is my four tips for top goal scorer at World Cup 2018. Antoine Griezmann, Harry Kane, Luis Suarez and Mo Salah. And we'll now go on to my next section, which is players to watch. And I've picked 5, and they are coming up on the screen right now. Those pictured on the graphic are Diego Costa of Spain, who I will start with, N'Golo Kante of France, Philippe Coutinho of Brazil, Timo Werner, Germany, and another one from England, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I will start with Costa though. Spain have gone to the tournament with not many recognised strikers, left the likes of Alvaro Morata at home, so a lot could fall on the shoulders of Diego Costa. And as much as we know how talented he is and how much of a good goal scorer he is, how's his temperament going to hold up in a World Cup? We all know as England fans that referees are not as lenient on the international stage as they are in the Premier League, where he's played a lot of his career. He's got goals in him if he stays on the pitch, but the interesting thing for me is, will he explode? Will he be a red card waiting to happen? And how much could that hinder Spain's chances if that does happen? So that's my first player to watch for more than one reason, Diego Costa. Second one is N'Golo Kante of France. Since arriving in England a few seasons ago with Leicester for I think it was less than £500,000, he's been absolutely incredible. Just gone from strength to strength, season on season. Does all the work that you generally don't notice. Effectively runs for 2, which frees his teammates up to then go and do their stuff the other way. Has improved even more since he's gone to Chelsea, won a league title there. So can he now do it on the biggest stage of all, in a World Cup, with the world's media looking at him on a daily basis? So that's my second pick for ones to watch, N'Golo Kante. My third is an ex-Premier League player, now playing in La Liga with Barcelona, and that is Philippe Coutinho of Brazil. Was generally very, very, very good for Liverpool in his time at Anfield. Carried them at times over the last few seasons. Even when there was talk of him leaving midway through last season, he still was very professional, put in performances for the Reds. Joined Barcelona for around 120 million, if that's correct, in the January transfer window. And after taking a little time to settle in, he's finished the domestic campaign really strongly there. So can that form carry on? And can he help La Selección to another World Cup? They're rightfully one of the favourites. They have a very good squad, and their new boss has got a good balance between defence and attack. They're going to have plenty of options going forward. Coutinho, Gabriel Jesus, Neymar obviously seems to be fully fit. So Philippe Coutinho could play a big part supplying the goals for Neymar or Gabriel Jesus. And I think if Brazil go far in this tournament, he could have a massive part to play. Right, penultimate choice is Timo Werner of Germany. Very, very brief international career so far. He's only played 14 times. And I think for Germany, they've struggled to really replace Miroslav Klose since he retired a few years ago. Him of millions and millions of World Cup goals, it seems. But Werner looks to be as close as they've got to it in a little while. 8 goals in them 14 appearances for his country. But again, it's a massive step up now. There's a difference between qualifiers and friendlies and playing on the biggest stage of all in front of millions. So it'd be interesting to see how he fares. He is only 22 still. So he's my 4th pick. And the 5th and final one is England's Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who for plenty probably won't start if they had to pick an England 11. But for me, the autumn internationals against Germany and Brazil, I thought he was very, very impressive. Picked up an injury after that, so he had a couple of months off, which might be a blessing in disguise. If it was up to me, I would pick him for the first game against Tunisia, where we certainly don't have to be playing two holding midfielders, which Gareth Southgate has alluded to. And I just think he was very impressive in the last two friendlies that we played before travelling to Russia, especially against Costa Rica. He's a big lump, he can run, he's got two good feet, he can pick a pass, doesn't get knocked off the ball. I said in my reaction video to that Costa Rica win that they just had to resort to kicking him up in the air in the end. And he just reminds me a little bit of Gaza when he burst on the scene prior to Italian 90. He's not played loads and loads of football for his national side, but he's got all the tools. And for me, I think if he does get minutes, he could come out the other side of this tournament with reputation enhanced. And you never know, he might get a game at Chelsea rather than being sent out on loan. That's my 5 to watch. You've got my choices for top scorer. As always, thanks for watching. Please comment in the box below, just down there. Comment on Facebook, comment on Twitter. Please keep sharing. Can we get to 800 subscribers before the World Cup kicks off tomorrow? We are 7 short. All support would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, up the Gills, come on England and enjoy the World Cup.